Hello everyone, how's it going? I'm WoWcrendor and welcome back to Ambient Rambles. I really don't know how to open this show because whenever I do my normal intro for my normal videos, I typically am all energetic at the start, so it's weird having to not be energetic at the start. Either way, today we are in Ashenvale. And I decided to go to Ashenvale since it's a bit more foresty, and the ambient noises are a bit more different. Interesting. This is a bit creepier. This sounds like if we were in the western or eastern Plaguelands or something. But I think we're gonna go back to Ashenvale for right now and save the creepy ambient rambles for a little bit later in a different episode. I also contemplated doing a snow place like Winter Spring, but I'll save that for another episode as well. I think I'll do that next, actually. And then maybe a desert one right after that, like Tanaris or Ulduar. And I think that'd be cool. Winter Spring, literally cool. Ha ha ha. Okay. So what's been on my mind lately? That's a great question. I don't know. I mean, I have been thinking about the Warcraft movie, which is going to be coming up only a week away for America. I think a lot of other countries are going to be getting it before America, so obviously they'll have opinions before we do, but I'm pretty excited. Honestly, I'm not sure what to think of it, because I've heard good things, and I've heard bad things. I've had friends that have seen the movie already that said, it was a great movie, I loved it. I have, and they knew people that have seen the Warcraft movie that were like, I haven't even played Warcraft, and I really enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, that's good, it's going to be good. And then I go on some websites and see the reviews of the Warcraft movie and think to myself, it's got an 18% or something on Rotten Tomatoes. And I'm like, that's not very good, is it? Let's chill by the beach here for a minute. This is a really nice, relaxing area. Aside from being attacked by the Naga. Alright. They can have their beach. But yeah, I'm kind of confused as to what to actually think about the Warcraft movie. So, I just want to see it for myself and have my own opinion. Honestly, if I had to make an assumption of what I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be a solid 6.5, 7 out of 10 movie. I think it's going to be entertaining. I think they're going to have some stuff from the game, like some little Easter eggs, some lore. But I don't think it's going to be one of those movies where I'm like, oh man, I want to see it again. Or, wow, that was way better than what I expected. Or, this is, on par with Lord of the Rings or something. I think it's going to be a good movie, but I think that's all it's going to be, a good movie. I honestly wish they would have done Arthas. I think the Arthas storyline would have been more open, more inviting to newcomers of Warcraft, and I think a lot of people found the Arthas storyline as one of the best storylines in the entire lore of Warcraft. Because, Frozen Throne was one of the most popular expansions. And Arthas is one of my favorite characters as well. And I think everyone likes that Darth Vader-esque character, where it's a good character, and they just have good intentions. They start out as a good character, and then they turn bad. But they don't just turn bad to become evil. It's not that kind of Dark Lord syndrome where it's they're evil because they're evil, kind of like the Sauron in Lord of the Rings. But they you can still relate to them in a way, and that's what makes them a bit likable, and you almost feel sorry for them watching them go down this path. And I think that would have been a much better storyline to do. And this first movie they could have done with Warcraft could have been, the corruption of Arthas. It could have been, he's good, he's doing all this stuff. He's a paladin, there's Uther, and he slowly starts to, get a little greedy, a little envious of Uther, and they're treating him like a child and all that. And then, you start seeing him slide, and then the whole hiring mercenaries and, killing them and being like, if you've played Warcraft 3, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't played Warcraft 3, I've played through the entire Warcraft 3 series on my channel. You can just search Crendor Warcraft 3, and I have played through the Reign of Fire, Frozen Throne, and the Rexxar scenario in Frozen Throne. So I've played through everything. And I just think that would have been a better way to go. But I am not Blizzard. I'm not making movies. It's on me, and I haven't actually seen the movie yet. So I'll definitely keep you posted on my opinions if you care at all. I enjoy hearing other people's opinions. That's why people watch YouTube videos, which is kind of interesting when you think about it. We essentially always enjoy hearing other people's opinions, even if we don't take their opinion to heart. Maybe someone's like, this is what I think about a thing, and you're like, well, I don't agree with that, but I enjoyed hearing your opinion, right? We love to share our opinions with people. I don't know why that blew my mind. It did for a brief second, and I'm like, well, then there's people who are like, you're stupid, you're an idiot, why would you think that? It's just, I just found that interesting. I'm still working on my book as well. I've vastly improved my writing over the last year. You may think like, wow, how do you manage to write a book when you make so many bad Hearthstone plays and etc. But I wanted to write a book 3 years ago, and I started writing it, and it was, in my mind, very good. And after becoming better at writing, I went back and I looked it over, and I was like, this is really bad. But writing's just been something I've always enjoyed, and I'm just trying to pinpoint what I want to write about. And I've been world building, and I wrote about 40 pages of something I really liked a year ago, and I improved myself upon that. And I think that's kind of cool when you can see your own improvement in something, with whatever it may be. It could be cooking, writing, making videos. I've vastly increased my entertainment ability over the 7 years or so I've been doing this. I go back and watch my old videos, and I'm like, I want to punch my old self, because I'm like, it's like I put on this weird voice. I don't talk like I normally do, even though right now I'm talking in a really monotone, deep voice. Like, it's still me, right? I'm not putting on some fake persona or something. And I used to kind of do that to cover up my own insecurities that I had back then, but I've kind of grown out of them as I've progressed as an entertainer online, which is kind of cool. I think for some people it can take a longer time, and some people it doesn't even happen at all. So I feel very lucky to have even done that this early in my life. But yeah, writing is just something I've always wanted to do. Even if nobody likes my book, even if I were to write it and then get bad reviews or everything like that, I would still want to do it, because it's just something I want to do as a hobby. I've always just enjoyed the concept of creating something that people become fans of, which is probably why I've gotten into YouTube and doing all that. I kind of created even Boar Thrills or Billy or the Go guy. You know, I love the fact that I created those things, and I want to do that, but in a book world where I'm not constricted or constrained to just whatever is in a video game. Or let's not go to Fellwood, it's kind of creepy, but you know what I'm saying. And when I read things like Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, or Lord of the Rings, you know, all the basic ones people like to read, it does inspire you to want to create a world that people want to learn more about. And I think that's what's or a story that people want to learn more about as well in that world. And I think that's what's so cool about writing. But once you do start writing, you kind of realize that it is a learned skill, kind of like a learned ability. And I think everybody has the capability to write. And I think if you work hard enough at writing, it's just something we're all capable of doing. And I think everybody has different things they want to write about, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, whether it's fantasy, science fiction, you know, whatever it may be. And I don't know, it's something that's interesting to me. I used to not even like reading, and I think, funny enough, that school made me hate reading. And after I got out of school, I started reading more. I started reading primarily marketing books and biographies, and I really liked those types of things because I felt like I was learning more through those than I was in school about certain topics like marketing. And then I started thinking, like, why don't I just read fantasy books or, like, you know, those types of books? And I really got into those, like Game of Thrones. And that alone also teaches you a lot about how to write when you see other people's prose and just their writing style. But yeah, currently I've been working on my book. I've probably revised it like 10 times, but right now I've settled on kind of what I want to do, and now it's just a point of creating characters that I want to write about. So I'm excited to do that. And hopefully I can make a book by like next year. That'd be nice. That's probably what my goal is currently, but I'm not going to rush anything. I kind of want to just enjoy the process. Because if YouTube's taught me anything, it's that, you know, one day you're like, oh man, I'm going to make a series called How to Win at Something. And then 7 years later, you're like at 1,000 videos, and you're like, oh my god, I made a lot of videos. I don't know, shit's cray, dude. That's my quote, shit's cray. I don't know, what else could I ramble about? I do think it's funny that I help people fall asleep a lot. Like, it's not something I intended to do when I set out to make videos and do all this stuff. And even when I started, I didn't even realize my voice was that deep. Or monotone. I guess I should have realized it. I just thought I was quiet because whenever I was in class or doing anything in school and I'd get called on, I would say something and nobody could hear me. And then I'd have to yell. And then I guess I would sound normal when I yelled because they could still practically not hear me. So I was like, well, that's cool. But at least it found some use. And I remember at one BlizzCon, someone was like, your videos just help me fall asleep. And someone else told me that too. I think it was at the grocery store. Which is kind of weird. Meeting people. I think I've ran into, like, no joke, probably like 5 fans at the grocery store. But everybody's always really chill. I think that's what I like about my fan base and all you guys, is that most people are just really chill, which makes sense because I guess your personality kind of brings people that are like you to your videos, from what I've seen. And I like to think I'm a chill person. I don't get very mad, ever. I don't get very agitated easily. And I'm pretty patient. So, that, and I like ASMR as well. So, the fact that I can also do types of ASMR to help people is pretty neat. But yeah, I don't know where else to go from here. I guess this is probably long enough. I think I read somewhere that it takes people about 10-ish minutes to fall asleep, and if you fall asleep under 10 minutes, it means you're exhausted. And if you fall asleep after 10 minutes, it's kind of, or between like 10 and 15 minutes, it's pretty normal. And if it takes longer than that, you are, what is it? I think that means insomnia. I mean, it's not like a, I fell asleep at 14 minutes and 38 seconds. I have insomnia. It's kind of just a generic rule. But I've always had a problem with sleep now that I think about it. I don't know if you are the same way, but especially when I travel, I have to, I got Xanax from my doctor for, like, specifically for when I travel. It's like the smallest dose available, or it's like a pretty small dose, because it's not like I'm not having panic attacks or something, but I just get really bad anxiety because I start thinking I need to fall asleep. I have to do stuff tomorrow. I need to, whatever. And the process of thinking all that creates this cycle in your mind of anxiety, because you're like, I need to fall asleep. I need to fall asleep. I need to fall asleep. And then that it tricks your brain into thinking or worrying that you're not going to fall asleep, because you're thinking you're going to fall asleep. You're not falling asleep. You're worrying about sleep. And it just keeps looping and looping and looping. So the one thing I found that does help is obviously that. Obviously Xanax. And, but even then, without like drugs or anything like that, just listening to something, which is why I understand why people like these types of things now. I used to listen to like rain on a tent. I really like that, just the sound of rain hitting a tent. So for one of these episodes, I'd really like to find a place where it's raining. I think that'd be really cool to listen to help people fall asleep. And then another thing I listen to is just like a podcast. And when you're listening to a podcast, it does kind of what a TV does as well. It distracts you. It keeps your mind off sleep. And it just, without even, you don't have to think about falling asleep or anything. You don't have to try. You just listen to the podcast. And before you know it, you're like asleep. And it's really good. So that's what I do. And, alright. I think that's it for Ashenvale's Ambient Rambles. So maybe you're asleep right now. I'm sure about like half of you are. And thank you for listening and watching if you like me just flying around. If you want to suggest a zone to go to, comment in the comment section below. Maybe find some good ambient noises for me to ramble over in a zone and then tell me. But I think I'd really like to do winter spring next. Just like a nice calming snow zone, because I always find the snow noises very relaxing. Kind of just the silence of the snow and the wind, just that very subtle wind blowing is very relaxing to me. And then probably somewhere in the desert after that, and then wherever else. Maybe Zanger Marsh would be really nice, or even somewhere in Pandaria. I didn't even think about that. Maybe the I forgot the name of it, that one place with all the farms and the green hills. And I think it rains a lot there, so maybe I could go there for some rain and a thunderstorm. That'd be really cool. So yeah. Okay. See you.